Hang in there, buddy. Hang in there. Don't. Careful. We're going to make a wonderful house for him one of these days. But ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of Building with BdoubleO. Today, we're going to make something really cool right here. In my last episode of Hermitcraft, I made a new discovery. Well, it's something I've been working on for a long time, but kind of texturing your buildings and using the blocks that you have as different paint colors to create some cool effects and stuff like that. I'm going to do that with a building here, and hopefully I can deep dive a little bit more and explain the thought process. But last episode, we made a little bit of a skeleton farm. We did some stuff in the nether. We got fire potions and stuff like that to kind of advance our abilities around here. We also made this big cliff. And B-Dub's messed up a little bit. You know, this series, wrong way. This series is supposed to be about building and the thought process behind it. Sometimes, I'm not the best teacher. And sometimes it's hard for me to put my thoughts into words. Sometimes I nail it, sometimes I don't. And with this one, I didn't nail it. I just built the cliff and boom, it was done. Goodbye. But part of the reason also why I had a hard time explaining anything about this cliff is because I didn't love it. So we're going to make some changes to fix it and hopefully explain the process along the way. This part here, this top part, good. All this is good. What's not good is this. This little slope right here feels unnatural to me. This feels like it was molded out of clay. It feels like there's not pieces of stone in there. It just feels like a shape that was kind of just... And that's what it was, pretty much. That's the process that I went through to create that shape. So before we do anything, before we start doing some cool building and stuff like that, I want to get this fixed. So we are now very deep dive. We're in the B-Dubs creative test world. You can see some of the areas where I've been working on like texturing stuff and whatnot. But this is where I do all my playing around. Now, this is how I made the mountain before. This is World Edit that I'm using. Ooh, glitching. And I just kind of use these brushes here to kind of create a little bit of a shape. Like that jutting out shape like this. And just kept putting these blobs in there and then shrink the brush size. Then in areas where I felt like it was too much, I would just, erase little bits to kind of create that shape. And then that's how I ended up with what I got. But I just discovered kind of a new way of thinking about this. This right here looks a little bit more like a natural stone piece, doesn't it? So instead of these, super smooth transitions, creating that shape out of pieces like this would be pretty cool. You could get something and say, okay, this is the stone in the area. This is what the stone and rock looks like and how the earth has pushed the stone. So you can take this shape with World Edit and create a pattern out of it. So if I say copy and then take my brush and say brush clipboard, I can start brushing this shape into the place. So I take this shape of these rocks, and once I start putting that in, it's copied to the clipboard. It can start making that shape and making it feel a little bit more natural. Now, this is brand new. I've never used this tool before, but already I'm starting to see good shapes in there that feel a lot better. So this will take a lot of tinkering, a lot of tinkering by B-Dubs, but I think I can get a shape I'm much more happy with using this technique. Oh man, B-Dubs, I feel like I'm going through a bit of a revolution right now because I'm learning a bunch of new things. All these years later, still learning new things. It's very fun, but this is amazing because normally what I've always done is this is your brush. And the goal is to get rid of this circle shape. Stone 5. Boom. You get this circle shape and you don't want that circle to show up, So creating your own custom brush. Who knew that was a thing? And these are all shapes that I like and I want to show up in the thing. Oh, baby. Okay, I go build it in survival now. Hello, sir. I just made a brand new cliff for you. What do you think of it? Oh. Okay. He seems unpleased. This is what we came up with. Now, this is going to be purely preference. For me, it looks better than the one before. It looks like there's more actual shape in there. I think we solved a good problem. I think we did a good thing there. And I'm sure I'm going to come to this in a year or so, or maybe even a couple weeks, and say, bleh, I hate it. So the Cliff Mountain may be our year-long project, potentially. But look at, yes. I feel like our shape is much better. It's much less, we accomplished the goal of making it less roundy and clay shaped. It looks more rocky. I like it. Now, back to our village. We have some really nice things in place here. We got some good buildings and some good houses and a lot of iron golems all over the place. I made an iron golem farm. It's just free range. But over here, I have tons and tons. Well, okay, this is not showing. Aha, tons and tons and tons and tons of stone and stuff from mining. Lots of tons of cobbled deep slate. All of my other stone is way over there. But want to make a storage room for this stuff. I want to have a place in the village where I know, okay, I need deep slate. And I can just know exactly where it is and I can get it. Or I need granite. Because right now I'm kind of like rummaging through chests and finding like, oh, there's my gravel and this and that. I want to have one structure, one building where all of that stuff is. And I think we're going to put it right here. It makes sense. Right by the mine, we're going to put the stone storage building. So let's take this build step by step. I'm going to go through the thought process of putting this building together. So this is about the shape I want the building to be. About this big. And the kind of that shape of roof and this size of a building, I think this would be good. I'm trying to build a little bit bigger scale, and this could actually even be a little bigger. Hello, iron golem inside. So this, and stop me. When we go through this process, just stop me and start taking notes when you get to the point to where it's like, okay, this is where my build ends, right? This is where I usually stop on my build. But this is our shape. And the way I kind of came about this shape is the 3x5 rule. So there's some not building, but just visual, like these are things people like to look at. Appealing to the eye, that's what I was looking for. But 3x5, that's a good rectangle size. Of course, squares and circles are all appealing to the eye, but when you're going rectangle, and especially with structures, 3x5 is good. So the footprint of this, it's about 3x5, and you just do a little math when you make it bigger. Now this, 1x7. If you're doing columns and stuff, and I kind of used this when I made the gate entrance on Hermitcraft, is when you're doing columns, you usually go 1x7 is the ratio. Hopefully that makes a little sense. But that's how I came up with kind of the size and shape of this thing. So now that we have our shape in place, what I like to do then is say, okay, now it's too much of the same. It looks boring because it's all the same block and there's no real division. The way I do this with interior decorating rooms and stuff, but you divide it up. So what I think I want to do is I want to do some wood framing to make an upstairs kind of different from the downstairs. And yaha, there you have it. So we kind of separated out the top from the bottom, and now it makes the two shapes look a little bit better. Now we're getting more of that 3x5 feel on the bottom and on the top a little bit. They're a little stretched, and it's okay to stretch those rules a little bit, but that's kind of what we got. I didn't do the back, so I'm just using this as a reference, so we can kind of see that breaking that up, that makes it already feel a little bit nicer. At this point, I am kind of starting to visualize like some details that we can put in. So that starts to add a little bit of depth, putting a roof there. Maybe there'd be a window there that we can put a little roof on above. Thinking maybe a chimney would be cool at some place. But before diving into that, we need to deal with colors. To actually explain what I wanted to talk about, I just realized I have no birch wood. Luckily, there's a forest right by the village, but we'll need a little birch for this explanation. So up top here, the color I want to use for this whole top section is going to be the birch. Now, not this one. No, this one. That's the guy right there. And I think that'll look pretty nice. It's a good look. But I picked birch because it has some nice colors on either side of it. Mainly it goes to darker colors. So over here, stripped birch logs has nice planks that can kind of add some variation. And then if you want a little darker shade, you can go here, and even to jungle. So it'll give us the ability to kind of make the whole thing look a little more textured and not so boring and bland. Now over here in the farm area, this is a mess right now. Yikes. B-Dubs has been collecting a little light gray wool. Ooh, you better start reproducing faster than that. I need more than that. But I have recently found that light gray wool, don't look at the backside. Light gray wool is a great block to blend in with stone. So we're back here in our creative world, just so I can kind of show you what I'm talking about with this color blending. I've had a hard time trying to figure out, okay, what's some nice stone blocks that can blend nicely. And I started messing with the light gray wool and light gray concrete. Now, in our single player world, it might be a little while till we have a lot of concrete to work with, but it creates some great variation with stone. Even though it's not, I know you won't have wool in your wall. That in real life, that feels a little weird, but when you're looking at it from a distance, it looks really good. The same with, the acacia logs and stuff like that, and tough, depending on the situation. But you can see, this is a great example of texturing. I've been working on this lately, and you can see a little bit here as well. There's a lot of blocks in here. I'm not easily attainable for me at the moment, but so we won't be able to use all those. But this is what I mean with texturing. This is a very boring, flat shape. There's nothing very exciting about it, but once you start texturing the roof and taking those other colors and the walls, it starts to look way more interesting. So that's what I'm going to do with our build. I'm going to start adding some different blocks in there to create some texturing. We'll see how it looks. But before we move on, let's take a moment for a quick commercial break. Beautiful custom templates, simple embedding videos, and super easy social media account connection. These are just 3 of the amazing features you're going to get with Squarespace. It has some of the most beautiful custom templates you're going to find out there. So making your website look gorgeous, piece of cake. Let's say you just uploaded a video that went number 13 on trending because you did a good Minecraft thing. Maybe you'd want to get that on your website, have that featured. Super easy and simple. Let's say you had a really funny tweet about a garbage man and it should have gone viral. Maybe you'd like to have that and many of your other tweets or Instagram posts up on your website. With Squarespace, it's dead easy to connect your social media to your website and have it automatically pushed. The list goes on. There's many more features, but I only have time for 3 today. So if you're wise like I, and you want to make a website, do it with Squarespace. Go to squarespace.com/BdoubleO100 to get 10% off your first website or domain. All right, this is take 3. I'm having a really hard time being a teacher, but I really want to do my best to explain this. So we textured it. Now, I think this sort of texture works well at a distance. Like the further away you go, and Elytra would be very helpful right now, but the further you are, the better the effect is, because when you're very up close, you start to see the big change in contrast. So I think this is one of those things. This build will have a lot of other buildings around it and stuff. So once you're real close, it kind of doesn't matter. You don't even pay attention really to what you're looking at. So I think this will work well because we'll see it far from a distance and the effect will be good, and then we'll see it up close. But the colors, we went through them. We just kind of picked colors that were close to the ones we had, the spruce and the stone, and we use the dark ones when we want to signify shadow. So this from a distance, since this is dark, will make the top look like it's almost overhanging just a little bit. And then I use dark blocks here to make the roof look like that's brighter and overhanging towards us just a little bit. So that's kind of the effect we went with all the way through. And I think it worked out pretty nice. The roof, I had a little bit of difficulty. We got granite up there and it looks really cool, but spruce, one of my favorite blocks for a long time. When you're dealing with stairs, there aren't many like transition blocks from this. You got granite, jungle, and dark oak. Like that's a big leap, which could look good from far away, but up close, it's pretty jarring. But even still, I think we got something that looks pretty good. And I'm just basically trying to think, okay, for a roof, how would it weather? And I just wanted to weather it up a little bit like that. And you can see this in houses. When you're driving down the road or riding in the car, you look at the roofs of houses and you'll see these streaks. Sometimes light, sometimes dark. So just trying to resemble some of that stuff. And it gives it character, makes it look a little more aged. But anyway, what else do we want to do? Well, number one, we're still just a rectangle. So to break that up, I'd like to bring a little bit of a building, like an outside storage building this way to make a little more of an L shape. Maybe it's more outside feeling, you know? And we talked about a chimney. I think a chimney would work well right about here. We do a chimney. And then, of course, the fail-safe. If you don't feel like your build is setting into the terrain, if it just looks like something you plopped into the ground, put a tree next to it. You put a tree next to it, and it ends up looking good. Additionally, a building like this, I would picture a bunch of barrels and chests and stuff outside for storage. So that's kind of how I'm feeling like that's the final step in this thing. We've got it all textured and looking nice. Then we want to add these last little pieces on the outside to really make it set in and feel like part of the terrain. All right, everybody, are you ready for the grand reveal? Step out of the way. Here you go. There it is. So we did those things that we were talking about. I put this jut out building here. It's got some outside storage. It's got the block. None of these blocks are in yet. I haven't moved all this storage in here, but all the block types like smooth stone and stuff will be over here. Stone bricks, basalt, bricks, all that stuff. So much storage. I think there's 90 barrels just in this building. Lots and lots of barrels. Plenty of storage space. So, yes, we did the texturing with the last segment thing. And then this one, we put the chimney in. We put this jut out thing, which looks cool. And I even textured with a little bit of grass right there to kind of make... Excuse me! I put a little grass on the roof because that's like a spot where a lot of water would collect potentially. So, moss it up a little bit. Obviously, we put a little darker on the top of the chimney. And then we got that tree in there. Oh, the tree helps. It really helps make it feel like, okay, we're setting into the land. And it got all these barrels and stuff, a little wood board up thing there. And then on the inside, it's just more storage. I've just put all the stone types that we'll have in here. And then even upstairs in the attic, we'll slowly flesh this out. But we got a bunch of space in the attic as well, which is nice. Get off of the roof! That's not helping. Get off of that thing. But this is what it looks. I doubt we'll rarely see it from this side. And I actually didn't really texture these wood pieces as much. Put more of the effort on the other side because we'll see more of it over there. But I think it still looks really good. And I did a little different thing with the window. Maybe I'll do this on the front as well, where you have some trapdoors like that to kind of, give a little closer thing. But overall, I think this thing looked pretty sweet. I'm very, very happy with it. Tons and tons of storage. I can move now all of my stone stuff out of here. Yikes. And I think I'll easily fill it. All the gravel and anything I get from mining and stuff, all this stuff, I can get this all moved into a building that has more purpose, which I think will be great. Originally, I was planning on going to the Nether and making a blaze farm today. I'm glad we didn't. I'm glad we did this building instead because this makes me a lot more happy. I think blaze farm would have made me very, very sad. I don't like the Nether so much so that I needed a little bit of basalt like there. You know, just make a quick, look at this little basalt generator. This will go away. But it had me thinking, you can really like make a cute little basalt generator machine with something like this. So maybe we'll do that. Maybe we'll tuck something like that up in there at some point. But I hope this was helpful. I hope kind of walking through my thought process, this is a new technique to me. And I'm sure I'll look back on it at some point and say that I hate it. But right now I'm in love with it. And I'm just sharing kind of what I'm thinking. And I might be wrong in some of these areas, but some of the things that I'm thinking as I go when I'm building like this. So hopefully nice and helpful. It's definitely helping our village, and we might have to kind of revisit some of these houses we just did. Uh-oh. Another episode gone by without me fixing the beehives. I'll fix them. Trust me. Oh, one of these episodes, I know we'll do it, and we'll get something set up real nice for you. But anyway, ladies and gentlemen, the sun is setting on this day, and it's setting on this episode. Thank you so much for watching. I love you to death, and we'll see you in the next episode.